Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heiss. The chair recognizes Mr. Case for 5 minutes.
Let me talk to you about a particular concern of mine that I believe is a national concern, and that is tour helicopters. Tour helicopters in Hawaii, and I believe in other parts of the country, based on conversations with my colleagues, have become quite a scourge throughout many parts of our country, especially those with high scenic beauty qualities and tourism, and Hawaii certainly fits that bill. And if you dig down underneath the tour helicopter situation, you find very quickly that there's virtually no regulation, virtually no effective regulation as to altitude, time of operation, flight path over highly urbanized areas, noise, et cetera, et cetera. And so this is a big problem. But let me narrow it down to the national parks. The national parks are, of course, supposed to be where we go to kind of get back to nature and enjoy a pristine environment. And I just find it fundamentally incompatible to be hiking out in the middle of Hawaii Volcanoes National Park and have 50 tour helicopters going over my head throughout the day. And that is, in fact, what is happening in Hawaii Volcano National Park right now. The latest stats that we know for an annualized basis show close to 16,500 overflights of Hawaii Volcano National Park, a beautiful, beautiful national park in Hawaii. Haleakala National Park, our other national park, gets 5,000 overflights a year. Now, that's no way to run a national park. We passed a law in 2000, the National Parks Air Tour Management Act, which was supposed to require the NPS and FAA to set up specific air tour management plans for each of our national parks with over 50 overflights, which is many of them to include the Grand Canyon National Park. And those overflights were supposed to get back to the purpose of creating a pristine environment, at least having people have some peace and quiet in our national parks. And yet those plans, none of them has ever been adopted. We're 18 years later, 19 at this point, and this has been a real problem for me and for many others. Reports are that the tour helicopter companies are now trying to weaken some of the regulations that are in effect for other national parks, such as the Grand Canyon. Can you tell me whether this budget or the national park resources are being dedicated in any way, shape, or form at this point to implementing this 19-year-old law? And if so, kind of where do we go?
Congressman, thank you for your question. I'm aware of the issue. I was briefed on it just within the last couple weeks. I'm aware of what happened in the Grand Canyon. I actually had some workings on that years ago, so that one is in. It is that coordination with FAA, which controls airspace. There's now a lawsuit. I dare say that's what will force action here in the near future as we try to address this issue. It's a legitimate claim that you make of that being an issue in these parks, and there will be action, I imagine, taken in the very next few years to address that.
Yeah, I certainly would love to work with you on that, and we actually have a Quiet Skies caucus in this Congress which focuses on these issues. So tell me if there's an actual congressional caucus that is talking about any particular subject. You can imagine that it's a concern of more than one member. So many of us, I think, would have that concern with the national parks.